It's Margarita, and it's also that time of year for spring fragrances. Now today I'm going to tell you about my top 3 floral fragrances for spring. So when we think about spring, we think about, well, where I am in Chicago, I think about rain. It rains so much here. So since we're rained in so much, I like to play on my fragrances. So here are 3 floral fragrances that I think would be absolutely wonderful to wear in the springtime. Now keep in mind, all fragrance is unisex. Regardless of how it's marketed, anyone can wear whatever they want. It's all based upon body chemistry. Now these 3 are unisex in my mind, and I believe they may be advertised as unisex as well. So that said, let's get started. Number 1, Salty Flower by Viktor and Rolf. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I have a love-hate relationship with Viktor and Rolf. I only like one fragrance from the house, which is Bon Bon. And now I like a second one. And I ran across this in a swap. I knew nothing about this fragrance before. I swapped it out for something else that I did not care for. I believe I swapped this for BDK, the Velvet Tonka. Tonka and I just don't get along. But I feel like I definitely came out on top with this one. So the notes in this are sea salt, bergamot, orange blossom, frangipani, tuberose, jasmine sambac, ambroxan, and moss. Now this note combination does not sound very appealing to me based on hearing it. Particularly that jasmine, because it's salty, and it also has sea salt. Well, I'll put it this way. The name of the fragrance is Salty Flower. So that's, you know, it kind of tells you to expect something salty. But this actually comes out not as salty as one would be led to believe. It is very nice. From what I understand, this is discontinued and hard to find, but I've seen a couple bottles online, so you should be able to pick one up. But this is really nice. The tuberose is a little bit prominent, and just from smelling it on the bottle. Let's see how it does on skin. Now while this is setting down, typically spring, you know, you think of florals, which is why I want to do this video. Now floral is not necessarily a feminine thing. Floral can be very masculine depending on the plants that are used. Now because this has moss in the base, moss is often used in fragrances that are marketed toward men. So fellas, do not be shy of wearing a floral fragrance, especially this one, Salty Flower. It's very fresh. It's got a little bit of ominousness, if that's a word, to it. It's got some type of bite. I'm not sure which note that is, but I am really not picking up any of the orange blossom. The salt is so well balanced because I'm also not picking up the bergamot. Now bergamot is often used, it's a citrus used in the opening of fragrances to really give it some freshness, and so it's very fresh, and I feel like the bergamot is balancing the salt without being a noticeable note when you smell it. The tuberose and the frangipani are the stars of the show. So if you like white and yellow florals, this is great. This is borderline tropical without being gourmand. This is not a very sweet fragrance because it is Salty Flower, and they did execute that without making any sweets because tuberose can go sweet. But if you like something that is tropical without being like an umbrella drink, this is definitely the way to go. Number 2, Equinox Bloom by Penhaligons. Now, I'm going to read the list of notes, and then you tell me if you're finding a theme here. So the notes are neroli, hortensia, violet leaf, frangipani, jasmine sambac, orange blossom, brown sugar, siam benzoin, and ambroxan. Now, when I picked the 3 fragrances for this video, I picked them based upon what I liked and what I thought was nice and springy and floral. However, the fragrance I just talked about, number 1, Salty Flower, and now number 2, share a lot of the same notes. I did not know this until I started recording this video and started reading the notes that are listed. This is really interesting. So the top note is neroli, which is basically a citrus. The top note in the Salty Flower is bergamot, which is a citrus. Then you get into the middle notes of frangipani, jasmine sambac, and orange blossom, which are 3 notes in the mid of the Salty Flower. And then in the base, we have ambroxan, which is another note in the base of the Salty Flower. This is really interesting. So I'm wondering if there is truly a common thread between notes that are used in springtime fragrances, because these are two different designers. These came out two different times, and these also smell kind of different, but they both say spring to me. Now, the name of this basically talks about spring. The name is Equinox Bloom, you know, so it's basically the spring equinox, and the bloom as being the florals. But this does not smell like salty flower to me. It is really interesting, trying to find a clean spot here. But I like it. This one is slightly sweeter. I have no idea what hortensia is, but it's one of the listed notes. But violet is pretty decent. Violet has a tendency to go somewhat powdery, but not as powdery as iris. So it's one that I can wear more so than iris. Iris and I are not too good friends. Now this one, it smells a little bit slightly greener, and it could be the neroli. So it's sweeter and greener, and I guess because the brown sugar in the base of this is what gives it that sweetness to it. So if you like something that is fresh and floral, slightly sweet but not sugary sweet, and a little bit more green, I would say go with this one. This smells like it would pop beautifully on a man's skin. Now, forget this little pretty frilly bow and everything on the bottom. This is a unisex fragrance all day long, and it's marketed as unisex. If you can get past the bottle, guys, or just take the bow off if you want to, or, you know, do what you want. But this is a wonderful choice. So that said, which do I prefer of the two? I would have to say, if I'm in a more beachy mood, I will go with Salty Flower. If I'm going out on the town or on a date, I will pick this one. And number 3, last but definitely not least, this is actually my favorite of the 3 that I'm presenting to you today. Midnight Fleur by Nest. Let me tell you, this fragrance is so good and so underrated. I was pleasantly surprised. I received this as a gift, oh my goodness, from a very dear friend who just wasn't reaching for this. And he's in the process of paring down his fragrance collection. So that tells you right there, I got this from a man. So at Unisex, again, don't let the names and the flowery bottles fool you guys. This smells great on men. Now, the notes in this, I'm starting to notice a thread in this one as well. Jasmine, there we go again, vanilla orchid, exotic woods, black amber, and patchouli. Now, this is absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. And if you know anything about the blends of orchid and amber, it's a force to be reckoned with. This reminds me of one of my holy grail fragrances, Ambre Vanille. So much so, it's almost an exact dupe with a little bit more oomph to it. This is actually replacing that on my holy grail list. That's how great this is. So if you are familiar with Ambre Vanille and how awesome it is by Laura Mercier, you will love this even more. The patchouli I do not get at all, and I'm so happy because patchouli has a tendency to go very earthy and dirty, and I typically don't like that note. This is smooth and it smells wet. It smells like you're actually dipping your hand or your foot in something, in a liquid, almost aquatic, but like a sweet aquatic. And also it's not too juvenile. This is very mature. This right here is a date night approved. Oh my goodness. You better be prepared for every great thing and every compliment that you get when you are wearing this. I have yet to wear this around a lot of people, but I plan to very soon because I love it this much. Now that spring is upon us, now that spring has sprung, this will definitely be getting some wear. And it's also, like I said, it's taken the place of one of my holy grail fragrances, Ambre Vanille, which says a lot because I absolutely love that. And I think it's one of the best vanilla fragrances ever made. Let's argue about it in the comments if you disagree. But no, gentlemen, this is absolutely stunning on you all as well. This is one of the most perfect orchid unisex fragrances on the market. You cannot go wrong with this. This is, I think, is a safe blind buy. I cannot believe that my friend was not reaching for this, but hey, one man's trash is my treasure. So that said, this is my favorite of the 3, Midnight Fleur by Nest. So what are some of your favorite floral springtime fragrances? Let's talk about it in the comments. Also, remember to like and subscribe to our channel because we talk about wonderful things that smell great, awesome, and amazing, and some that don't. We talk about it all here. Until next time, I am Margarita, and you have an awesome day. Bye.